Very good morning to all of you children. Now we have completed our English language syllabus for class 6, isn't it? So we have to start revising because from the first week of August we are going to start our class tests. Now 20 marks class tests will be given to you. Now there will be 5 class tests, okay? Now it may be from the first week of August, or maybe in the second week and the fourth week of August we will have this examination, but per subject there will be 5 class tests and each of 20 marks. Okay children, so each of 20 marks we will be having these class tests, and for that reason we have to revise our chapters. Now say for the first class test we will have only subject and predicate and nouns. Okay, we have done these 2 chapters. The first 2 chapters is subject and predicate and nouns. Now based on these 2 chapters I will be setting a paper, question paper on Google Forms. Okay, now I will be sending the link to you all. Just as you all click on the link and open the videos, similarly a link will be sent. You have to click on the link and the form will be displayed before you. These exams are all MCQs. What is the meaning of MCQs? Multiple choice questions. Say if I tell you that what is a noun, okay, and I give you 3 options: a describing word, a doing word and a naming word. A is describing word, B is naming word, C is doing word. Now which is the correct option? Naming word. So you have to click on naming word and go on to the next question. Okay, now after you finish, say I give you 10 questions of multiple choice, you will click only the correct answers and then at the end there will be a submit button. Now before you begin your paper, when the paper comes to you, right in the beginning there will be name and say class and section. So you have to fill them up. Okay, the moment you click the right answer, see for each question there will be given the marks. Say 2 marks for each question. I give you 10 questions. Okay, 2 marks for each question. The points will be given there. Now if you click the correct answer and as soon as you finish the paper, you can view your marks. It will be displayed how much you have got. Say out of 20 whether you have got 18, whether you have got 20, and as soon as you give submit, we will also get your papers. So this is the procedure of Google Forms, how to answer or how to sit for an exam through this Google Forms. Okay children, now whether you have to upload Google Forms or not, that I will let you know later, but I think you just have to click on the link and you will get your Google Forms, the question paper that I have set for you. Now this is applicable for all the subject tests that you all will be having. So today let us children then revise our first chapter, that is subject and predicate. Now what is a subject? Now when you say a sentence, suppose if I say Ranjit stood in the corner of the room, a sentence. Now who stood at the corner of the room? Ranjit. So stood in the corner of the room. Now if I ask the question who stood, the answer that you get is your subject. Okay, now what is being said about the subject? Stood in the corner of the room. This will be your predicate, isn't it? So a sentence is divided into 2 parts, a subject and a predicate, isn't it children? So a sentence can be divided into 2 parts, a subject and a predicate. The first part of the sentence that names what the sentence is about is called the subject, and the second part of the sentence that says something about the subject is called your predicate. So what is said about the subject is predicate, and about whom the things are being said is your subject. This story is very interesting. Now is very interesting. What is very interesting? This story. So this story is your subject. What about this story? It is is very interesting. So from the verb, and the rest of the words in the sentence is your predicate. So this is how you divide a sentence into two parts, a subject and a predicate. Okay, children? Now, in the case of an imperative sentence, now what is an imperative sentence? A sentence where you give an order, a request, a command or an order, or whether you give a request or you give an advice. In such sentences are known as imperative sentences. Now, if I say, wait outside. Now, what is the subject? So, here whom are you telling? Wait outside? You wait outside. It is understood that in an imperative sentence, you is your subject. If I say switch off the fans, oh, you switch off the fans. You wait outside. Take this medicine every 4 hours. Oh, you. You take this medicine after every 4 hours. So in all these sentences, it is understood that the subject is you. So now it is clear that in all these sentences, the subject is you. So you have to remember that in an imperative sentence, the subject is always you. But it is implied and not stated. It is not mentioned, you wait outside, not stated. But you can understand that it is meant for you. So this is known as implied. So in an imperative sentence, the subject is implied, not stated. Okay, children? Next we come to say a question. Have they bought the books? Now what is the subject? Have they bought the books? Now in a question, you change it into a statement. They have bought the books. Have they bought the books? Question. You change it into a statement. They have bought the books. So who have bought the books? They. So they is your subject. Have bought the books is your predicate. Now, how nice you are. An exclamatory sentence. How nice you are. Change it to a statement. You are very nice, or you are how nice. So here, who is very nice? You. So you is your subject. It is clear then. So you can say you are how nice. So you is your subject and how nice is your predicate. Okay. Now similarly, what a stupid answer she gave. She gave what? A stupid answer. Who gave what a stupid answer? She. So she is your subject. Gave what a stupid answer is your predicate. So in the cases of a question or an exclamatory sentence, please change it into a statement, and then your subject is very, very clear. You can easily identify what is the subject. So we have gone through all these. We have done all the exercises. This is just a revision of the chapter, isn't it? Now here the exercises are given. You have to pick out the subjects. Okay. So underline the subject in the following sentences. You have to just pick out the subjects in the sentences. Now one more thing which I want to tell you all, that is, it is not necessary that always the subject is right at the beginning. In certain sentences, the subject come right at the end. Now for this one, on a small table near my bed is lying an encyclopedia. Ask the verb. What is lying on a small table near my bed? An encyclopedia. So though in this sentence an encyclopedia comes right at the end, if you have to find out the subject, you have to write an encyclopedia is lying on a small table near my bed. So it is not always that the subject comes right at the beginning. It can come right at the end also. In a corner of the room stood Ranjit. Who stood in the corner? Ranjit. So again, Ranjit is your subject. Stood in the corner of a room is your predicate. So children, when you have to pick out the subjects, this is the way that you can pick out the subjects. So I hope everyone remembers subject and predicate and you can answer any question on subject and predicate. Okay, now we come to the parts of speech. Now altogether how many parts of speech are there? There are 8 parts of speech. And what are they? Noun, adjective, pronoun, verb, adverb, preposition, conjunction and interjection. So these are the 8 parts of speech. Now first and foremost we will learn about nouns, isn't it? We have already done this chapter also. Now as I asked you, what is a noun? A noun is a naming word, isn't it? So it is the name of a person, a place, a thing or a creature. It may also name a feeling or an idea. Now why feeling an idea or an idea? That is when we discuss about the different kinds of noun, then we will come to know. So what is a noun? A noun is the name of a person, animal, place, thing or a feeling or an idea. So this is the definition of a noun. Okay. Now how many kinds of nouns are there? There are 4 kinds of nouns. Now what are they? Proper noun, common noun, abstract noun and collective noun. So proper noun, common noun, abstract noun and collective noun. These are the 4 kinds of nouns. What is a proper noun? A noun which means a particular person, place or thing is called a proper noun. Example, say your name. It is a proper noun. Or if I say Himalayas, proper noun. If I say Jaipur, proper noun. Kolkata, proper noun. The telegraph, proper noun. So, name which names a noun which names a particular person, place or thing is called a proper noun. Say Virat Kohli, proper noun, isn't it? The Telegraph, the Times of India, proper noun. The Bhagavad Gita, the Bible, these are all proper. The Arctic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, the Black Sea, the Caspian Sea, these are all proper nouns. So, a noun which names a particular person, place or thing is called a proper noun. Common noun, and also remember a proper noun always begins with a capital letter. Next, common noun. A noun that gives a common name to persons, places or things of the same kind is called a common noun. Now, boy, girl, book, pen, pencil, rubber, chair, table, all these are common nouns. Okay, so a noun that gives a common name to person, places or things of the same kind is called a common noun. Pen, river, mountain, train, bird, animal, city, all these are common nouns. Next is abstract nouns. An abstract noun is the name of some state, quality, feeling or idea that we can only think of or feel but cannot touch or see. Say like for example heat, beauty, truth, anger, height. All these are beauty. So these are all abstract nouns. Knowledge, wisdom. These are all abstract nouns. So if I ask you what is an abstract noun? An abstract noun is the name of some state, some quality, feeling or idea that we can only think of or feel but cannot touch or see. So these are abstract nouns. We can say love. Love is also an abstract noun. But we can think of love but we cannot see or touch it. And the last type of noun is the collective noun. A collective noun is the name of a collection of persons or things taken together is known as a collective noun. See, if I say a collection of soldiers, what will I say? Army of soldiers. A collection of keys, a bunch of keys, or a bunch of grapes, a bouquet of flowers, a pack of wolves, a pack of dogs, a litter of puppies, a fleet of ships or cars. So, pack, fleet, army, bunch, all these are collective nouns. Now, you have to learn all the collective nouns. A list of collective nouns are given here. 26 of them are given here. So, please learn them. I can tell you that a dash of birds. So you have to place a collective noun there. What will you say? A flock of birds or a flock of sheep. Say a flight of birds. And also a flock of birds is also right. A flight of birds is also right. A fleet of ships is also right. A fleet of cars is also right. A swarm of flies is also right. A swarm of mosquitoes. I can give you a dash of mosquitoes. So you have to write a swarm of mosquitoes. So please children, learn all the collective nouns, and that can also come for your exam. Now form abstract nouns from these words by adding the given sum. How can you form abstract nouns? Say great, greatness, kind, kindness, happy, happiness, laziness, darkness, blindness, smoothness. Real, reality, equality, purity, ability, morality. Freedom, wisdom, kingdom, friendship, hardship, leadership, growth, health, truth, depth, death, strength. All these are how you can form abstract nouns. Now it may be given like a fill in the blanks. Fill in the blanks with the correct form of the abstract noun. So you have to write the correct form of the abstract noun. Okay. So these are the 2 chapters that we have revised, and I will give you also a test, a class test, just a revision test on this 2 chapters. And this week only I can send you one link and you all can work it out, or if you send me your WhatsApp numbers, you all know my numbers, that is my WhatsApp number. If you send me a message in my WhatsApp number, I can form a group and I will send you a link, and you can try it at home also. You can try it on your own, how to work out a Google form question paper. Okay, now one more thing. Nouns can also be classified as concrete, abstract or concrete nouns. Abstract noun names feelings, love, anger, qualities, bravery, honesty, states of mind, hope, trust, or ideas, education, knowledge. What these words suggest has no physical form, so that we may see or touch them. But concrete nouns stands for something that we can see or touch, something that has a physical form, something that has a position in space. For example, we say, like nouns usually we refer to people, uncle, architect, animals, kangaroo, swan, ant, places, hospital, market, things, watch or brush. Words like glass, milk, blood, stream, names of substances. These are all concrete nouns. Now, say material nouns, isn't it? Also are there. Countables and uncountable nouns. Countable nouns are like books, pens, pencils. These are all countable nouns, isn't it? Now, most common nouns are countable nouns. They have both singular as well as plural form. Say wall, walls, dog, dogs, isn't it? Other common nouns are uncountable. They have singular but no plural. For example, bread. We cannot say breads. We can say slices of bread, but not breads. Milk, milks, no. So, these are the things that we have learned in these 2 chapters. So, children, revise these 2 chapters for today, and we will have a revision on these 2 chapters. Okay then children, bye.